and welcome to my channel, and let's have a look at my colored pictures with dragons. For now, my favorite book about dragons is by H.Leonhard, Dragon Novel. Here I love to color dragons because they are super cute and also super positive. They always are in good mood, they always have some fun things to do, and I discovered that on this paper I absolutely love to use Arteza pencils. With their rich colors and excessive brightness, they are perfect for these dragons. Of course, I tried to find new color combo for each of the new dragons. So for now I have one orange. I was inspired by the color of apples, and I do love these girls, very nicely depicted by H.Leonhard. Because of the good variety of green colors in Arteza set, it was quite easy to color even excessive areas of grass, leaves, bushes behind the dragon, and I love how they blend and cover a paper. Another one made with Arteza pencils mostly. And this one is even more positive. You can see that I try to use new color combo for each of them, and I think that this one probably is my favorite in color, but I also love the next one, which is slightly more reddish. I also added a little bit of salmon pink. Well, this one it's simply like more, I don't know, their bellies, they are so adorable. Maybe that one is my favorite because of the belly, but this one, he's smiling, and I do love this troll. Anyway, as I say, I absolutely love that all dragons are made with a lot of humor. If we started to talk about H.Leonhard books, I also have two other books. Unfortunately, I don't color in them as much as I would like to. I will try to use them more frequently during the next year. Here I believe that I used a mix of pencils from Prismacolors to something else, I don't remember, maybe Star Joyce. Anyway, paper is good, even if I prefer that type of dragon book where we have one-sided pictures, but even here I managed to color with budget pencils like Starjoy. You just need to protect the rest of your book, putting a little bit of cardstock beneath. And fun thing is that somehow all my H.Leonhard books, they arrived from Amazon damaged in such a way. I purchased 3 of them in separate time, and all arrived damaged. Sometimes inner part, sometimes outer part. I don't know why Amazon hates H.Leonhard books so much. Well, here in my favorite book by Herb, we have this green man, where I tested all available pencils on this paper. Well, some of them, like Black Widow or Mitsubishi, they are not good on this paper, too dry probably, or too scratchy, but the rest of my pencils, Polychromes, Arteza, Sucolors, Prismacolors, they work here quite well, so I was happy when I discovered it. Sometimes pictures also feel a little bit frightening and overwhelming, but art is so gorgeous. I always mention that it's kind of the book where I can color everything from first until the last page, and I never would be bored. Unfortunately, I have just another one picture finished here, and that's Merlin. I absolutely love the whole series of the heroes from King Arthur. We have beautiful ladies, we have beautiful knights, but somehow I decided to start from the wizard. Those lines which you have on the background, they connect all the pictures in the series. I will do them later after I finish everything. Well, I don't know why I decided to add on his robe a little bit of shiny Posca pens probably, or glitter metallic pens. Anyway, it looks a little bit cheap. Usually I don't like to do such things, but here maybe I wanted to make his robe a little bit brighter, but I liked initial colors where I used turquoise, violet and blue together. Nice contrast to the colors of the gold surrounding him. Anyway, it was a long coloring, but I enjoyed each and every moment. I decided for myself that you need to select main color for the main hero, for his robe, and then somehow to surround it by the complementing or contrast colors. Here I was lucky that this magical globe, because of the red color, it immediately attracts attention, so the Merlin, he is not lost even with such a detailed background. Well, I so much hope that next year I will fill in this book with many other colored pages. Another absolutely gorgeous book about dragons. It's by Ravin Filan, and again, even if I love everything here, from amazing paper to very interesting designs, various designs, I still have colored just one page. Here I do love that I added some metallic paints to the background. It made it more magical and less plain. I used one Indigo, a regular watercolor, and then I dropped into it a little bit of metallic blue, metallic green, silver colors, so it's quite shiny. But because of the brightness of Prismacolor pencils, my dragon, guardian of these sapphires, he is not lost, and I think that color combo is also very pleasant. I was very happy to find these small interesting details, tiny round bells, feathers, so very interesting designs, and I absolutely have no answer why this book is abandoned by me. Again, I will try to put it somewhere near my table. I love Ravin Filan's designs. I love her book about animals, but this one I prefer a little bit more. And of course, if we talk about dragons, then we need to talk about my Game of Thrones coloring book. It's one of my first coloring books. I have it in Ukrainian edition. I was lucky to find it because it was printed on surprisingly good paper, which allowed me to work with watercolors. And in this book we have very big difference, at least I hope, in the level of colored pictures. From my first ones were totally lack contrast and strength of colors, to my recent ones where I tried to combine watercolor and pencils, and which I absolutely love. Let's start from the first page to the last. I think that you will be able to decide for yourself which are my first works, like this one, and which are my later works. Here I even used some of the Inktense pencils when I did those sigils of families. Some of them I still like, some of them I would prefer to do in slightly different matter. Many of these pictures I colored just like talking by telephone and needing to do something in the same time, so I wasn't very thoughtful when I did those first pages. I still need to color Cersei. It's one of the most frightening pictures here. And here are two of my favorites. First it's Sansa portrait, which I did, as I said, with watercolor for the landscape behind, the snowy winter sky, then walls, and after that on snow, of course. I love to do snow with watercolor and with gouache. And after that on the Santa's clothes, on the wolf, I worked with pencils. I was so nervous because I didn't want to mess up, and I already started to think that maybe I would have to purchase the another copy of this book, maybe in English edition still available, but fortunately it turned out exactly like I wanted. A lot of cold colors to represent atmosphere of Winterfell, and then couple of warm reflections, highlights from fire, from lanterns, and of course as a bright spot her ginger hair, and I think that it turned exactly as I imagined it. The second one is Sir Loras Tyrell. Again, a little bit of watercolors, but mostly just to cover a light blue area of sky and a little bit of the background for the flags. The rest I did with pencils. Here it was easier because I love to color metals, I love to color armor. I already was quite experienced how to color leather, steel, gold, so here I was less nervous. Mostly I was afraid of how to do shading on the face, so as usual I did it in quite a light way without any heavy shadows. I decided that better it would be more flat without shadows than rather than looking dirty. I wasn't very confident in my skills to properly shade portrait of a man. And I absolutely love those flowers. Very nicely done. I still need to do the red witch. Here it was my first successful portrait. Here we have Varus, and I mostly used watercolor even for the clothes. Only for the skin I used pencils, probably Prismacolors, I don't remember, but this video is available on my YouTube channel if you need it. It was quite fun to color all those tapestries, fabric, rolls of paper, and then wood. Of course, watercolor underpaint allows you to color much quicker, and I do love when paper allows you. Here in the beginning I was afraid to color him with blue bird, blue hair, blue mustache according to the book, so instead I decided that it will be like black but with bluish tint, and I think that he looks quite nice because with totally blue hair he looked ridiculous. Now I love him much more. This one was colored completely with watercolors. I don't remember if I ever added any pencils, maybe a little bit somewhere on the coat, but I was crazy proud of myself when I did snow, trees and crows, background, everything with watercolors. And it's an old work, so my watercolor skills there were better comparing to my skills now. Now my skills are quite rusty. Some of them I would be doing in slightly different way, because here I would say that if I would do much darker background, it would create more stunning effect, better contrast. The cave behind them I needed to color with dark colors, so it would be better contrast to the fire, to the smoke, and to their golden and bright coats. Well, anyway, it was parts of the teaching process. Here another one where I did the whole area of the fur of the giant mammoth, and on the giants I did fur with watercolors. This one I did with Inktense, and somehow it feels that in the beginning it was slightly brighter. I'm not sure, maybe I'm mistaken and just feel that now I would do stronger contrast, at least for the foreground and on the skin. I don't know, but again I practiced, and for the works 5 years ago they are not so bad. That was a total disappointment. I totally ruined it with those stupid rays of light. I wanted to show that magical light coming either from the magical tree or through the leaves, but I didn't manage to do it. I didn't know how to do it technically, and also when I added a little bit of metal paint to the leaves, it started to look like a total mess. This one it's better. That's where I tested myself how to do different shades of shadows on the snow, and I do love that it's made in quite limited color palette. This one I definitely dislike, starting from the blotchy sky and slightly dirty ground here, and a lack of contrast on the buildings, so this one was definitely not the best one. And that was the first page where I discovered that I actually can color in this book with watercolors. And when I grabbed my very old 20 years old set of paints, and I happily discovered that I still quite okay and that I can expand my stash of art supplies. At that moment it was very limited, and I started to use watercolors here. I don't know why I hadn't colored this beautiful page made by Tomislav Tomic. I disliked something and I abandoned it. Well, maybe one day. Here we have other pages where I experimented a lot. This one I do love. I wanted to do a very delicate morning pastel sky, and in contrast I added those slightly sinister bloody drops from the ruined building. Picture itself it's a little bit sinister, and I wanted to make it like running blood from the ruined castle. So idea was good, but here I dislike how I did green parts. Those trees, they look dirty. That's my huge problem. I absolutely don't know how to do beautiful green trees with watercolors. When I start to add shading, they always look dirty. Well, this was initially one of my favorite pictures in the book, and I still like it, but for me now it lacks depth. There is the same brightness of the objects on the foreground and on the background, and it's not the right thing. If I would do those buildings and trees behind with slightly paler or colder colors, and if I would use brighter colors here, it would add more depth and it would make picture more interesting. But it was so long and overwhelming at the time when I did it that I was happy just that I finished it. I still need to do this one, beautiful. A lot of pictures actually, maybe this one will be my next project. Here I used a lot of Derwent drawing pencils and some of the Derwent color softs. Actually color softs are also not so bad on this paper. Here we have the green fire, dragons. Here I think that if I wouldn't add metal watercolors on the background, it would be less motley with darker background. Here on the mountains, dragons would look more spectacular. But as I say, that was part of my learning process. This one I love. Here I mostly colored with watercolors. Maybe I added pencils on the wall, but not in the big amount. Everything on the snow is watercolors. Here, this one, it's okay. Maybe I needed to add no, I think that's okay for the cloudy sky and for the different colors on the stones. I especially wanted to practice different color of the stone for the column and for the carved gargoyle. I think that it's okay. This one I do love. Here I practiced both how to do water and stormy sky. This one was slightly boring because of the repeated elements, but not so difficult. As I say, I do love to color metals. Here again, mostly I used watercolors on the guard, and here I used pencils. Here again, definitely lack of depth. I think that I was too proud of myself that I added some landscape behind the window, a little bit of trees visible there, that I totally forgot about nice and good shadow beneath the table, so it lacked depth and something is missing in this area. I think that here I used the whole set of my Kohinoor Mondeluz. I do love to use Mondeluz here on top of watercolor pencils, and also several of color softs. That's were available set which I had at the moment. I didn't have Prismacolors or anything else, but I was lucky that paper is good for pencils. This one I consider totally ruined. I got my first set of metallic paints. I wanted to try them somewhere and I decided that this X would be the perfect choice. Now I totally dislike it. Very childish. And here this page with sword, nothing special apart from these very strange stains which I have. Still don't know, maybe from something I added here, I don't remember. That's one of the most challenging pictures. I think that I tried to find colors for it for several times already, but I still not sure how to do it in good way. And that was my first work in this book, done completely with Kohinoor, with different color softs, and that's where I say that I started to learn how to do wooden texture, but I didn't think at all about shadows, about perspective, so it lack shadows, it lack contrast. Still not bad, and I was more occupied how to combine my color soft pencils. I just started to learn them rather than thinking about depth and contrast on the page. But I still have very warm feelings towards this one, because after this I realized that I absolutely love this book and I want to color it from first until the last page. In my other Game of Thrones book, the giant one, I so far did this portrait, and I did it 4 years ago, so it's quite a long story, but I never felt like guilty that this book lays untouched, because I know that it's a difficult book, and now I feel much more confident in many things. How to color those huge double page spreads which I want to color, and now I have much bigger variety of art supplies, gouache paints, acrylic paints which I can use here for the landscapes, some of the black lines which I want to mask, and now I feel more confident how to do it, how to color various textures which we have here, starting from embroidery, fabric, metals, stones. So I'm sure that I will return to it because I love art and I love the whole story of Game of Thrones, even if I was very disappointed by the last season. Anyway, one day I will return to it. Maybe next year I will be able to color something in both books. This one I would like to finish one day, but I'm not sure because some of the pictures here, they are still very challenging for me. And of course, if we started to talk about dragons, of course we will talk about Tomislav Tomic. Well, I hadn't touched his books at all during the whole this year, so here we have only my old works. Again, I have two problems here. First, that they are so big, detailed and overwhelming, and in my books I can't use watercolors, so I have to color everything with pencils, even the huge backgrounds. And the second problem is that I already saw so many finished pictures in Zemlya huge amount, in Villain Sun, slightly smaller amount, but still, that I think that I colored both books with my eyes, and now I'm afraid actually to start coloring them, because it always feels to me that I repeat someone else's ideas. when I was sure that I have my own color idea, color palette for the spread, for the page, of course I colored them. But on many pictures during coloring process I made some color mistakes, and in the end it's like, oh, I like 80% of the spread like I do here, and then I do something stupid like this strange leaves in the middle. Why I hadn't colored them like the rest of the leaves, I don't know. But I was so tired after this pencil background, this halo around fairy. Then I was quite invested in very unusual color for all the leaves, that when on the last step, when you feel tired and when you want to finish everything quickly, sometimes you make mistakes. At least that's my problem. Backgrounds, that's my usual big problem for Tomic. If I could color this one, I'm not sure that I have enough patience to do background with pencils here. I don't know, and I don't feel that I want to do neo color background. It's not matching in style, and I'm afraid that it would be too blotchy. Let me show you quickly what I have here. It would be my road of shame. So many amazing, beautiful pictures. I definitely consider this book as one of the gemstones in my collection. Or maybe I need to do this one for the next mermaid, because it's amazing. Here you can see that I even have abandoned page. A couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I started to do this queen. I was thinking that it would be a nice idea to make contrast between her red dress, because everyone already colored her in blue, violet, pink, cold colors, and I was thinking that maybe I will try to color everything with blue and her dress would be red. But something went wrong, I didn't like it, and I stopped to color it. Still, art is amazing, and I definitely consider it as one of the most beautiful books I own. Oh, this one, it's so nice and so many beautiful dragons, but again, the problem with background, it's frightening. Oh, so many nice gnomes. Maybe I need to select something with lesser amount of empty backgrounds. Let's move to the finished pictures. Oh, that's another one which I always wanted to do. Here I have my dragon, which I colored during a couple of months. I started from columns, other parts of those arches, then I did unusual golden grass and trees. I was proud of myself. Then I was less proud when I did this green dragon. For me it looked like a giant lizard. I wasn't sure that I like color of his skin and scales. And then I was totally lost what to do with the background, with the sky. I abandoned it for a month, and then I tested polychromos pencils, their cobalt ultramarines, and they were a perfect choice here. I'm glad that I finished it, but I remember that it was a huge struggle. Every time there are elements which I slightly dislike. Here I did horse, then I don't know why, but I switched to flowers. I did them and I realized that actually in similar cream color I wanted to color wings. So now I don't have color combo for the wings. I had to go and to check various reference pictures, and one of the beautiful tropical butterflies, I believe that it lives somewhere in South America, so it catched my eyes. Beautiful color combo of emerald, turquoise, green and orange, and I decided that it can save my page. Guys, I think that I need just to grab one book to be locked with it and with set of polychromos and Prismacolor pencils somewhere, and then I will manage to obtain some progress. That would be the best decision. I hope that it won't happen, but I imagine that if I would have only this book, I would happily color it without selecting something more simple, something easier, more relaxing, because yes, I put a lot of efforts into these pictures. This one was relatively easy, even if I still tried to learn how to color various colors of grapes, how to make leaves less flat, more interesting with additional colors, texture on the basket, and of course this extremely bright but beautiful colors on the feathers. I think that rooster, it's very royal looking. That's another one which I did relatively easy. I was inspired by medieval illuminated books, so quite traditional blue, red, green colors, a lot of gold, nothing very complicated. The left one I do love, mostly because of the very delicate Prismacolor pencil background. All those nectar, peach, eggshell colors, they look nice to create nice surrounding background to those golden wings for the deer. Oh, here it's overwhelmingly bright. I do love the idea of black pearl. It looks nice, but well, I wish I did those fishes slightly less colorful. It would attract more attention to the mermaid tails. But I was so invested in trying to combine various colors on fishes. It was interesting how I can combine chartreuse, lime peel, Prussian green together with violet colors. Unusual color combos for me, so each of the element looks okay. The whole page looks probably excessively bright. This one I do love because it has like two totally separate pages. I wouldn't say that they were matching. At least with bright colors which I used on the bird, you immediately look on the right side to the queen mother bird, and only then you notice the rest of the page. I divided her children into two colorful groups. You can see that they look slightly different because it was boring to color all the birds in one color. And I do love this idea that I did one egg with gold. Maybe it will be future heir of throne. Well, some of the pictures which I regret that I already colored. Sometimes my very bright frames or backgrounds, they distract attention from the main characters, which I absolutely love. But I try not to regret any of my choices. When I did it, I still learned something, even from my own mistakes. This spread was another one of the very long stories, and here left side I love a little bit more. I do love this dark blue background and interesting color of the leaves. They are nice addition, nice surrounding to the lion, but they don't distract attention to it. But on the right side, again, some of the elements, they attract much more attention than the forest queen, forest witch, and some of the birds, they are slightly lost. So some of the elements here, I had this habit. If I have different types of leaves, then each and every of them I tried to color in different color palette, and sometimes it's fun to do, but the final look of the page, sometimes it's suffer. Maybe I had to use the same color palette for all of them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's crazy. Guys, it distracts attention from the main character. But anyway, I still think that it's a beautiful spread. Yeah, that's all for this one. And in Will and Son, I have even smaller amount of finished pictures. Well, what I have here, I have this spread. Oh no, let's go back here to show you this spread. I forgot that I have a spread here. So this one was okay. Apart from my attempt to color birds differently, but in the end color palettes, they look quite similar, but still, at least I managed to do interesting background and I colored everything with pencils. My hand, my arm hurted in the end of this spread. But I do love how color of the wings and dresses of fairies create contrast to the flowers, to the background, so this one was okay. I used together Prismacolors and polychromases. This one I love, this amazing idea of using hedgehog to carry gnomes, very fun. And I remember that I did it during fall season, that's why I used a lot of warm yellow greens and oranges for the leaves and mushrooms. That was nice. This one was so detailed that I absolutely messed up. I used similar colors for the mermaid and for some of the background elements like this octopus and even colors of the corals. Even this orange color which I tried to add to her tail, it didn't save her from being lost against the other elements. And then those fishes, I tried to divide them into 3 colorful groups, but still most of all I'm disappointed that mermaid is lost. Next spread is better. I was more careful in my color choices, so because of the golden antlers, you immediately look at the magical deer. I wanted to make it with very light beige brown fur, and I think that it worked well. And then some fantasy leaves in my one of my favorite combos of blue together with lavender or blue together with violet, so this one was okay. Here I tried to imagine magical story of the wizard. Here we have old tree with fall leaves and quite empty bold branches, but because of the magic of this tiny wizard, we hope that it will turn into spring tree. You can see that I added nice tiny spring flowers, so magic started. I tried to attract more attention to the tiny wizard by those surrounding halo of yellow and green lights, so it was interesting to imagine story behind this one. I also have another dragon somewhere here, where I do love dragon, but I totally dislike background. And I have one frightening castle, where I also was quite excited to make experiments with the color for the walls, those flowers which look not very kind, rather carnivorous. So in the end, I don't know, but something is not right. Maybe that girl is lost. Maybe background color is too active. Anyway, I can say that I'm quite happy with this one, but I don't know how to improve it. If I return to coloring Tomic in the next months, and I hope that I will return, then definitely it will be in Will & Son. Somehow it's still easier for me and I don't have this pressure that I saw already many pictures and I can copy someone else's work. Well, I hope that this video was fun because I love to color dragons and I love to talk about my colored dragons. But in the next part we will again have dragons because that's definitely not all of my pictures. But I am afraid that video would be too long if I would continue. So I will see you in the next part. Thank you for watching.